Hey gang, it's your old pal Devall here on ToyWorldOrder.com, bringing you the first episode of the former Flea Market Finds that I am now happily calling Devall's Collection Expansion. It's not a perfect title, but I like it a lot because let's face it, the show really from the beginning, even though it was called Flea Market Finds, has really been about what I found on my journeys over the last couple of years through flea markets, garage sales, antique malls, auctions, eBay, and so much more. And it's been all about how my collection has literally been expanding since I started the show almost 2 years ago. So the first episode of the newly relaunched Flea Market Finds, henceforth titled Devall's Collection Expansion, I think is spectacular. But just like olden days, I am bringing you some awesome finds and some awesome stuff. So let's get started. First thing I got, a company called Artco in the 80s released a lot of Disney stuff. They had the Disney license for a long time, and they did a lot of places, a lot of cool little stuff. And one of the things we found on our journeys, the wife and I, was this really cool Disney mini diecast vehicle playset from Artco. And it's really cool. It has a fast food stand. It has a couple of little places for Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald to stop and eat. It's got some barricades. It's got a few cars, an ice cream car for Minnie, a nice little red truck for Goofy, a yellow one for Donald back there to drive. Mickey, of course, is the cook. So a very fun little Disney find for the collection. The wife was very happy since she loves Disney stuff, and this will have a nice place, whether it's put together and stickers put on it or whether it stays in the box. It has a wonderful home in our Disney collection. So let's move on. I got a couple of kids books for you today. Let me just set that little guy here. Ooh, actually, before I get the kids books, now you guys know that these shows aren't really up to date with what I'm buying. A lot of this stuff I bought months and months ago, but the fact that I buy so much of it and there's so much sitting around, and the fact I go to toy shows and all that stuff, there's always stuff to talk about. And one of the things that we found, you'll excuse the plastic bag opening, we'll just throw that over there. We found a lot of Walt Disney World souvenirs, old school Walt Disney World and Disneyland souvenirs. One of the things that we found was this mint condition Magic Kingdom Walt Disney World ashtray. But this was in mint condition. It's beautiful. It's got some great pictures. The Jungle Cruise is on here, Liberty Square, It's a Small World, the Mark Twain, the monorail, Town Square, and of course Cinderella's Castle in the middle. Just a beautiful piece, kind of a nice little times gone by, because you know they don't market stuff for smokers really anymore, since it's very much bad for everyone's health. But kind of neat to find out in the wild something in this pristine condition. Usually when you find these, they've been used. They've got pieces missing out of them. The artwork in here, which is all kind of like almost like an inlaid paint kind of design. It's really nice and gold inlay in there. A lot of times this is ruined. It's got cracks in it, but this was in beautiful condition and something very fun to put into our Disney collection, and a very unique item. Again, something you'll never see again. You'll never see this type of item marketed at a Disney park, and this is a very cool item to have in any Disney collection. Just a couple of kids books today. I've been hunting for these for a long time. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. I had these when I was a kid. These were sold, I want to say these were through Hardee's that you could get these. I could be wrong. Pretty sure they were Hardee's. Probably Carl's Jr. for those of you on the West Coast and around there. Same restaurant, different name. These came out around the time Gremlins, the first movie, came out in theaters, and they were these great little book and record stories. So there were 5 altogether, and by getting all 5, you were able to basically hear the story of Gremlins from start to finish. Of course, the covers, you had the Gift of the Mogwai, you have Gizmo and the Gremlins, you have Escape from the Gremlins, you have Gremlins Trapped, And then, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, because it's not, you know, almost 35 years old or 30 years old, you have the last Gremlin, which ends our tale in a very dramatic fashion. And these books, again, I had these when I was a kid. Who knows what happened to them? They got ruined probably. The records probably got lost. But we found these at an antique mall, all in one booth, all for a set for $5. And I haven't really seen them cheaper than that. They usually go for about $5 a piece. So this was a very, very awesome find. And one that I'm very proud to return to my collection after all these years. I'll be 36 this year, and these little guys were with me for a number of years in my childhood, and it's very cool to add these back into my collection. I got 2 more books for you today. One of them was from 1965, and it's in okay shape. It's got some dents, some dings. This was a Whitman Big Tell-a-Tale. Basically, it was for Walt Disney's A Visit to Disneyland. This was a really fun find, and again, it's one of those stories that I'll read you just a small piece of it. Come to the Magic Kingdom, join the adventurous band, walk through the turnstile into the square, and look! You're in Disneyland. Riding top deck in an omnibus, you're back in great-grandmother's day. You turn back the clock as you chug down the block along Main Street, USA. There are horse-drawn trolleys and carriages and funny old cars by the score. You see a parade, a penny arcade, and many an old-fashioned store. That's the gist of this storybook, and it's super, super amazing. I suggest anyone that's a Disney collector that hasn't found this yet, hunt one of these down. Like I said, it's not in the greatest shape. It's got some dings, it's got some writing, it's got a little scrape on the top there, but the artwork and just for the adorable little rhyming story alone was perfect for any Disney collection. So if you find this, grab it. Now, of course, earlier we saw some Gremlins storybooks with records, and I'm a big fan of those old school 80s books that came with little 45s. Or actually, they're not 45s, they're 33 1/3s. My bad. I don't remember records that well. They were just at the tail end when I can actually remember certain things about them. I remember having stacks of little 33 and 45s and stuff. But I found some other ones. I found the Get Along Gang and The New Neighbor, which I actually have a big storybook for this, and this was the first time I'd seen it with a record. And of course, again, the artwork in these books is pretty cool. Just pretty good. I've looked at kids' books today. I've looked at preschool books like this, and they don't have nearly the same attention to detail as a lot of these old books do, and they're not as whimsical and fun as these old books. So I found Get Along Gang and The New Neighbor. I found one of my favorites with the record still is the storybook for the Jim Henson movie The Dark Crystal, which is a spectacular film if no one's seen that. This was a very cool find, and it's got a lot of great stills from the actual film, which is cool. And these two I found, they don't actually have records, but I found Popple Save the Circus, which is kind of cute, but again, no record, as you can see. And I found Meet the Care Bears, and again, no record. Now, one of these days, I'm sure in my journeys, I probably will come across versions of these two in beat up shape that have good records in them, and I'll buy them and put the records in these. And these were in gorgeous shape, and so these were must-haves for the kids' book collection. And I remember a long time ago in one of the early Flea Market Finds, I made mention that we had pretty much stopped buying kids' books. It's kind of a lie, really. I'm still kind of buying them when I see them that are great. But these were good finds, and I was very excited to find these to add to the collection of growing read-along storybooks. Let's move on to some action figures. What do you say, huh? I bought some Cops figures in the past, and I have a few in package. I have one from when I was a child, and I have a couple that I found throughout garage sales and stuff, but they're never complete. Of course, the ones in package are, but I don't want to open them because they're in pretty decent shape. At the last Toy Man I went to 2 months ago in, gosh, when was that? March, would have been March of this year, 2013. I stumbled across a table of a guy that was selling, he pretty much sold Mark stuff, like old Marks, plastic Indians and cowboys and dinosaurs and play sets. I mean, expensive Mark stuff, which if you don't know what Marks is, Marks was a great toy company from the 50s and 60s that did some great kind of little plastic army men type figures in these great play sets. They're really cool. You should look them up because there's a great Disneyland play set that Marks did. There's a Flintstones play set that Marks did. Marks did a lot of these big sculpted, almost like candles. They're Disney characters, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This guy at this table had a box of stuff that just said $1. Everything in the box was $1 a piece. And I'm digging. I don't usually dig through those tables. One thing to catch my eye, and the one thing that caught my eye was none other than Big Boss from Cops. And he was complete, which surprised me because usually this little guy, this little weasel, scary looking creepy thing is gone. And usually his cat firing cane is nowhere to be found. But Big Boss is in pretty good shape. He's got a little bit of rubbing on his back. He's missing a teeny tiny little bit of paint on his head. But as a display piece, to find one in this perfect condition for $1 was very, at the time, hard to believe. And I took it up to him and I was like, $1, right? And he goes, in the box, yep, it's $1. So I'm surprised some other toy guy didn't see it. But again, toy guys don't usually go to that table, and I just happened to go by it because when I was bored, and two, I was like, ooh, a box full of dollar stuff. Let's look. But to find Big Boss complete loose is a very rare treat, and one that I'm very happy to take advantage of. Those of you in the toy community out there that watch these videos know very well of my celebrity friend Pixel Dan Erdley, who runs pixel-dan.com, and he is one of the largest toy reviewers, one of the most popular toy reviewers on YouTube today and around the internet. His Master Universe Classics reviews are things of legend, and I've been very honored and privileged to call him my friend for almost the past 17 years. And the fact that we worked together and created that new Toy Smell and Pop Culture Network and a lot of other things together has been a blessing. But we were at a large toy show, probably the largest toy show in the nation here in the States, which is the Kane County Toy and Doll Show, which happens twice a year. It happens once in April and once in October, and that's it. Twice a year, that's all you get. And it is a large, huge toy show, and you find all kinds of stuff, and you never know what you're going to find. Well, we were walking through the main show building at Kane County, and we came across something from Kenner from the 70s that I didn't know existed and never realized it was there. It turns out it's a preschool toy, which you're going to say, what? But this preschool toy was so odd and so amazing that I had to buy it. And said preschool toy is none other than Gobbles, the crazy eating goat. Yes, you heard that right. Gobbles, the crazy eating goat, who is actually a companion piece to Milky the magical milking cow. Don't believe me? Google it. These are so odd and so weird. And it's not usually, I don't usually gravitate towards these things, but again, I love the odd toy lines. And even though this was a preschool toy and not an action figure line, it was just odd enough and just at the right price for me to pick up. And I think I paid $20 for it, and it was mint in box. Of course, the tape on the box top is long since yellowed and deteriorated. And it's got a couple dings on the front here of the box. But other than that, it's in gorgeous, beautiful shape. Of course, let's see, he contains one realistic goat with head that goes up and down. Comes complete with 7 pieces of pre-tin garbage. Let's see, he's got a wrench and a piece of steel and some bamboo and a rope and a piece of umbrella. But he has realistic chewing action. Nom, 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 nom. And you can retrieve the junk from the saddlebags on his left side when it's all said and done. If you haven't seen video of this guy in action, I suggest go to YouTube and look up Gobbles, the crazy eating goat, and there's plenty of YouTube videos on there that actually show Gobbles in action. So Gobbles, the crazy eating goat, has a wonderful place in my home now. Same show, ladies and gentlemen, same Devall, just a different title. There you go, gang. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Devall's collection expansion. And I hope you'll tune in next time for I might add Extravaganza to the end of that title. Did I add that at the beginning of the show? I'm getting old, people. Losing my memory. losing my mind. But tune in next time to toyworldorder.com for another episode of this great program, formerly known as Flea Market Finds and henceforth forever named, and I'll name it properly, Devall's Collection Expansion Extravaganza. So getting tuned in next time. I got lots of great stuff to show you, and keep digging, because you never know what you might find. Take care, guys.